Welcome to Deep Cuts Alt-Fashioned Edition. It's delicious. What we're going to do and what deep cuts are all about is diving a little bit deeper on the recipe, give you the deep cuts, so to speak, of the ingredients and techniques I used to make, in this case, this drink, so that you can do it as well at home. Right off the bat, I mentioned that I like hitting the glass with the orange oils in advance of the drink and then at the end as well. I actually stole this from a good friend of mine, beverage professional Jeff Warner. So shout out to Jeff for teaching me smart things. Traditionally, you'll see grapefruit or orange or some sort of citrus being expressed over the top of a drink. Those oils will be on the top, you'll get a lot on the nose, and that's great, but what happens is you drink the drink, right? That extra oomph you're getting from the orange or the grapefruit might be gone. Maybe I'm just a sucker for citrus. I like getting it on the bottom of the glass as well as around the rim, and then expressing it over the top at the end when the drink is finished. One small thing that has a big benefit with ice is tempering. I like thinking about just like a big glass of lemonade when I was a kid. When that would be poured, you'd hear all the ice cracking, being shocked with such a warmer substance being the lemonade. In the case of cocktails, you don't want that cracking because that's gonna then dilute the final product because there's more surface area of ice, which then leads to more melting and more dilution. So by tempering your ice, basically leave it out for a couple minutes before you make your drink, you'll be able to keep that cracking from happening and dilute your beverage less. This is a coriander syrup I made in-house. Got the recipe out of Liquid Intelligence, basically a chemistry book that just talks about cocktails, written by Dave Arnold, and it's a fantastic read. And that's where I got the coriander syrup recipe from. Coriander seeds have warm, spicy, sweet and citrusy flavor notes to them. This is just my package of coriander. I figured I'd read it straight off of that to kind of give you an idea of what coriander syrup is going to add to the beverage. Ritual Zero Proof is the company that makes this whiskey alternative. I think it is super fun to play around with. As you can see, I'm almost out. I need to order more. I'll make sure there's a link in the description so you can get some yourself. It's hard to read on the initial recipe video, so I kind of wanted to run through some of the notes. American oak, Madagascar vanilla, capsicum fruit, sugar floss, mesquite smoke, warm caramel, hemp leaves, green peppercorn, prickly ash, toasted spices. You get that kind of warmth at the back of the throat. I think it's fun. It's interesting to play with, especially if you're trying to cut back on alcohol, have less alcohol. The ritual without the added calories or alcohol. Funny enough, this is actually one of my least favorite parts here at the end because I move the cup and you can see in the reflection the camera that I have hanging above off the reflective surface of the counter, and I don't love how that looks from like a videography perspective. So I decided to lean into it and use the reflection so you can see me take a sip and then kind of cover up the spot where you see the camera and the lighting with the verdict. So it's kind of silly, it's kind of ridiculous. It may not be there next time. I may decide to go with a tablecloth. I'm not sure. I'm in a new place, so I'm kind of figuring things out, but it's just kind of a funny part of just like, well, work with what you got, right? And lastly, just here at the end, it took me so long to find a name I liked. Yeah, I wanted something that sounded similar to the original and old-fashioned, but I wanted it to denote the fact that it wasn't an actual, I wasn't gonna call it an old-fashioned, because it's not. So the alt-fashioned was born. I'm happy with the name. It's a whiskey alternative, which seems fitting. It sounds close enough to old-fashioned that, I don't know, I feel like it gets the point across of what I'm going for. Cheers. Thanks for watching Deep Cuts. Be sure to check out the recipe video over on Instagram. I'll link to that in the description. Also, keep your eyes peeled for future videos here on the Fitness for Food Lovers channel or future recipe videos on the gram. And until then, enjoy the alt-fashioned.